I'd like to welcome everyone this morning to our Business at Breakfast series. I want to thank the Hilton Garden Inn. Lisa Sutton is here. They are our host for this year's series, so we thank you for hosting them. We will be here all year for the Business at Breakfast series. So we're looking forward to that. We appreciate your partnership on this year. Today, we have Advantage Technology here to speak to us about artificial intelligence. There's been a lot of buzz about it, so he's going to break it down and give us the 101 on it. I apologize. I have to leave for Charleston. We have Senate Bill 559 to add Salem University to the Promise Scholarship.
I think I can.
It is on third reading in the House this morning, so I will be in Charleston before 11 o'clock, sitting in the gallery, watching that happen, and meeting with our delegates afterwards. So we're excited about that. Fingers crossed. Wish us well. So we're looking forward to that. So I leave you in good hands. Mark will do the wrap up at the end, remind you of all the exciting things we have coming up. But for this morning, we have Chris May with us. Chris is the Security Solutions Director for Advantage Technology. And he'll tell you a little more about how he got into this and what our program is for this morning. So good luck. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Apologize again.
You're fine.
See y'all.
Good morning.
Morning.
Who's an expert on artificial intelligence? All right, good. Glad I'm the one in the front then. No, it's good to see you guys. I'm going to turn this light down so you can see this a little better. That might help it show up. Again, as she said, I'm Chris May. I am the Security Director at Advantage Technology. Some of you are familiar with us. We're a 22-year-old IT firm. We're founded in Charleston, West Virginia. One of my closest friends founded out of spare bedroom of his department. Started out with one person, one client. We now have about 100 people, multiple offices in multiple states. We do work all over Mexico, the U.S., and Canada. We have an office right down the road here that Patrick Marazzi, who a lot of you might know. If you do, I'm sorry. So Patrick actually founded our office here in Bridgeport, right? We stole it from somebody else about 5 years ago at least, maybe more. Year six, yeah. And we founded we had a few customers here. We now have a little bit more than that. We have a little bit, so we're happy to be here. Like I said, I'm our security director, so I run all our cybersecurity operations. A little bit about me, about why I'm even up here talking about this. So I originally started as a nuclear engineer, U.S. Naval Nuclear School. There's nuclear reactors on every aircraft carrier and a lot of submarines now. So that's where I started in the mid-90s. A couple years into that, we started getting really concerned about the security of those reactor systems and the computer systems that control them. And so some of us transferred over into the cybersecurity side of that. It wasn't even called cybersecurity then. That's how long I've been doing this. It was called information and data security. I spent years doing that and securing nuclear weapons assets for the U.S. government. Moved out of that and worked in large industry for DuPont Chemical for years doing infrastructure, security, IoT, stuff like that. And then eventually got tired of working for the shareholder in a massive corporation and ended up back with Advantage about 10 years ago and started our cybersecurity practice. So you can tell by this accent, I'm a West Virginia boy, Raleigh County specifically, deep in the coal country in southern West Virginia. And we're just excited that we've been able to build a company like this in West Virginia. We've expanded into the DC market now, which is where I live. And so that gives you a little background on me, but what we really came to talk about today is OpenAI. So I assume everybody in this room has heard of artificial intelligence at this point, or we probably wouldn't be here. What we really like to do, I have a mixed crowd, I know. I speak to everything from chief technology officers all the way to people that own small businesses. So today I really want to start foundationally, right? So you guys understand where all this is. Have you heard of OpenAI? These are the people that built ChatGPT, right? Everybody's heard of ChatGPT now. It's the biggest one we're talking about. So we're going to start with some basics. We've had what is called AI now for like 25 years. Machine learning is what we always called it. It's the very same thing. And so we were using programs in government and military years ago, using machines to get smarter and learn from other data sets, right? That's what we were doing. That's machine learning. That's what they now call artificial intelligence. Somebody just gave it a fancy name. So now we've all talked about it. Now the AI that everybody's talking about in the real world every day pretty much started around here. So they found a company called OpenAI to start using machine learning. OpenAI started as an artificial intelligence laboratory that was a for-profit company that was parented by a non-profit company that was called OpenAI Incorporated. This was in 2015. You may have heard of this guy. He's been on the news a lot lately. He's the current CEO of OpenAI. His name's Sam Altman. He's brilliant. This is the brains behind all this. Him and some other really smart people, but Sam is the one that really brought the people together to understand what this thing could do. So it was founded with the goal, and then some people laugh at this, of developing and promoting a friendly artificial intelligence in a responsible way that can focus on transparency and research. Why open research? An artificial intelligence machine can research things faster than a human ever could, right? So you imagine something that we could do in a year, a computer can do in about 12 seconds. This was the founding members. Like I said, Sam Altman started it. He brought in John Schulman. Elon Musk came in and put a bunch of money in it. But this guy, and the guy at the end are the brains behind it. The guy in the middle with the funny hat, probably one of the smartest human beings on earth. His name's Ilya. He's absolutely brilliant. His back-end code is what produces most of the AI you see nowadays. It's just one of these people that his brain operates in a different space. So these were the original founders of this. They took machine learning, right, that we already had. So basically that's just machines learning from data sets and getting smarter. And they decided to make something called OpenAI that they could use for research and other goals. So the original goal of it was to make sure that they had something that was friendly. And what do we mean by that? A lot of computer systems are hard to interface with, right? You have to type certain commands, you have to know how to program or code or do certain things. They wanted to build something that they said would benefit humanity that we could all actually use and interact with. So you may have heard the term conversational AI, or these chatbots they talk about. That's what they were trying to do, is to get it to a place where we could conversate with the computer in normal language. Like I'm talking to you now, and the computer could actually interpret and understand that, just like we put code in it, right? So it understands our native speaking. That's what they were trying to do. They researched a million areas of this thing when they started in 2015. Down the machine learning path, what's called computer vision. So basically computer vision is where you can take any image you can imagine and stick it in front of a computer, and it can intelligently decipher that image and give you information about that image regardless of what it is. That's a very hard thing to do, right? As humans, we can do that because we process visually, we think about it, and then we can say what it is. To get a computer to do that's hard. They figured that out. Then the other big one they were looking to do was natural language processing, like I said. Imagine a computer that any language, any dialect, any cornbread accent like I have, that it can understand, right? That's always amazing to me. I'm like, it can understand me, and I basically speak country. So that's what they were trying to do, is to get it to where anybody could interface with it. Now, how did that happen? So if you look over here on the left, they started back in 2016 was the first generative model they created. So we're going on 8 years now that this stuff's been active. This generative model was basically them saying, okay, here's a computer, here's another computer. If we let this AI machine look at this, what kind of data can it generate from this other computer that it knows nothing about? Basically, that's learning, right? Like we used to say computers can't learn. Well, we've passed that. When this computer that knows nothing about this machine and this data set can come back to you and tell you everything about it, how it was built, the schematics, how it was configured, and every piece of data in it, and report that intelligently to you like a human can, that's where they got in 2016. That was revolutionary, right? It took no human intervention at all to do this. So in 2018, they developed what's called ingredients for robotics research. So, as a lot of you know, where's the biggest advancement in robotics right now?
Medical.
Anybody?
Medical.
Healthcare, absolutely. We've been using them in manufacturing plants for years and in dangerous situations, but you have robots now that I literally watched a video the other day of a surgeon tying like intricate, incredible knots inside of like nano filaments. Like we couldn't do this before. It's insane. The robot allows them to do it. Now what they've done is started to build artificial intelligence into these already intelligent robots. What does that mean? Imagine if you're doing a surgery with one of these $20 million robots and you're about to cut something here, you're tired, you made a mistake, and you're about to cut the wrong artery. Wouldn't you prefer a robot that stops that? Right? So it's in his hands, right? He's controlling it, he or she, the surgeon, but the robot has a camera on it here and knows, oh wait, we can't cut that. Why? Because it understands human anatomy better than any person. And so even if you go to cut that, it won't let you. That's what they're building into robotics. Now, I'm sure somebody here's like, well, that's kind of terrifying. Yes, there's also a very scary side to that if it all goes wrong. But this is what they started doing. They still run a program called Ingredients for Robotics Research, and almost all of it is focused on biotech, pharma. They use a lot of robots in pharmaceuticals manufacturing. Really high-end drugs have to have really very specific quantities of certain chemical makeups, and so the robots don't mess it up, right? A human may have errors, the robots don't. By 2019, and some of you might not get to see this because of the podium, they had, in October 15, they were able to have a robot hand connected to AI that could solve a Rubik's Cube. That may not sound life-changing, but that is absolutely revolutionary in the world. A Rubik's Cube is a hard thing to do, right? I can do one in almost no time, but the ability to do that takes pattern recognition, dexterity, right? It takes cognitive thought because the Rubik's Cube can be in any different arrangement when you hand it to the person or the robot, right? And the robot was able, through artificial intelligence, to do that. Once it did that, and people were like, well, why is that so life-changing? Well, that's proof that it can actually think through very complex problems and situations, and not just think through them and give you instructions, but think through them and then process those instructions into something that can actually take them and put them into use without human intervention. And you can hand a Rubik's Cube in any state to this thing and it can solve it. It's pretty wild. So this is one of the things that showed everybody, wait a minute, this thing is actually working towards some type of intelligent thought, right? Now, 2021, which has only been, we're about 3 years ago. March 4th of 2021, they figured out multimodal neurons in artificial neural networks. Now that sounds crazy, right? What's the neural network we all know and have? Right here. It's brilliant. It's actually laid out in your brain like the mycelial network of mushrooms underground. That's the closest thing that matches the mapping of our neural networks. OpenAI looked at this and looked at those mycelial networks and started to figure out how they could transmit information like our brains do inside of a neural network. They've actually figured it out. It works. So the way our brains can do very complex computations and problems, just for me to see you all and have this discussion takes my brain having about 1 billion processes right now. I've got to see you all, I've got to process that, I've got to know what I'm going to say, you see what I'm saying? These are hard things to do. We take them for granted because we're humans and can do them well. Computers can't. Now they can. So as of 3 years ago, we've got a machine now that actually uses what we call a multimodal neural network to think. We're getting really close to what humans do, right? And I don't say this to scare you, this is just where they are. So hopefully that gives you some basis of how we got here, right? This was the back end of it. Before, remember, because it's only been a couple years that this has exploded, right? Everybody's talking about ChatGPT and DALL-E and OpenAI. It was after this. Once they figured this out is when they decided to take it to the open world and say, look what this thing can do. So, what can it do? So, it's been deployed in thousands of places. It is working in a lot of places that you all don't even know. So we were talking about this before the presentation. Everybody's seen the people you chat with on a website, right? Well, chat box pops up and you're talking to somebody. You're not talking to anybody, you're talking to a computer. 99% of chatbots on websites are AI. You can send me one and be like, no, Chris, this was a person, and I'm gonna look at the back end of it and be like, no, you thought it was. That's how good they are, right? So you think you're chatting with this person on the bank website or whatever it may be, you're talking to a computer. That computer has been fed every piece of data that company has about all their products, all their services, all their people, every question they've ever been asked. They just stick it in there. And so now you're just asking the computer to go index that and find it, right? A lot of where AI has popped up is in these jobs that require a lot of minutia, a lot of detail like that, right? Somebody's gonna have to, imagine if you're sitting on the other side of that and you've got a person that can ask you any question in the world about Chase Bank, and you're expected to answer that. It's not happening. You're gonna end up frustrated, and so's the person on the other end of the line. Instead, you just put an AI chatbot in it, pointed all your data, and it does it for you. That's where you're seeing a lot of this stuff pop up. They pushed it out into programming, so they have what's called GitHub Copilot, so people like me that can write code and program, it saves us a massive amount of time. I don't have to go figure out base code anymore. If I wanted to do a simple thing, I can just type it in there and say, write a PowerShell script to do this. That's a complicated process. It would usually take about an hour to write a good PowerShell script. This thing can do it in about 12 seconds. So it's that time saving factor. Right now, you have to have enough knowledge to know what you're doing to fact check it and make sure it was right. because they can lie to you, and that's a problem we'll get into in a little bit. They put them in tax software and can help basic tax problems. We don't know all the tax laws, right? But if you've got somebody filing a basic 1040, you can use one of these chatbots now, and it'll go through and it can research every tax law on the planet better than a person can a lot of times and help you to understand that. So they build them into tax platforms, stuff called Bible, Duolingo. I think probably everybody might have heard of Duolingo, the language software. They built it into there. One of the best uses of AI now, it's built into a lot of phones. This is a new Galaxy. We were in a store, I now live in DC. We were in a store that sells a bunch of Japanese merchandise and everything is in Japanese. You can't read it, right? The phone has AI built into it now, it has language AI. So I walk through the store, hold it in front of the box, and it shows me what the box says in English instead of what it really says in Japanese. Instantly. That's all AI built in the background. So now a store I could never shop in before that my wife loves, but we never knew what anything was, we had to ask everybody, right? Now we just walk through the store with our phones, and we can read everything on every shelf. We travel all over the world, same thing. I can talk to somebody in other countries into my phone. It'll tell them what I'm trying to say. They'll talk right back to it, and it tells me what they said. All that's AI built in the background. Any language, it doesn't matter, right? This is what this stuff's going into that people don't typically see. Again, originally their mission was to ensure that it benefited humanity. And they had a huge emphasis on research. And they also wanted to deliver a cloud-based platform for AI, where again, researchers and other people could use it and get their hands on it. And they've done a fairly good job of that. So what does it look like in the real world now? First of all, you may read an article today too. Elon Musk is no longer with OpenAI. He left years ago. Today he sued them for some ridiculous amount of money because they partnered with Microsoft, and I don't know what he's upset about, but you'll probably read that today. I just saw it this morning today. I got sued by Elon. So I have to read more into it, but it's interesting. This is kind of where it's landed. Who's heard of ChatGPT? Pretty much nods around the room. That's the one that everybody knows. I'm going to show you how it works here. So that is the conversational AI, ChatGPT. It's called an LLM, large language model. Basically, they took these servers, this all runs on massive servers, and they pointed them at the internet, the entirety of the internet, and said, learn this thing. For years, this thing sat here and just learned every piece of data on the entire internet. There's nothing it missed, and as new information gets uploaded, it grabs all that too. That's what they fed into ChatGPT, so you now have a conversational AI that you can type into or talk into, and it'll conversate back with you, and you can get a lot of functions out of it. Anybody heard of DALL-E? That's the new one that's popping up. That's an image generator. So now you can go into it and say, I need an image of a cruise ship, and people look happy, and they're on a black sand beach, and put some palm trees. It'll create it for you like that. You need to make images for your business. I need to make an image for a tax preparer and where Liberty Tax and such and such. It'll make it. It'll just do it all like that. So now you can do very advanced image creation, and then you've got a couple other ones, Whisper, Alignment. We won't get into those. I show you this to say, OpenAI is the back end that feeds all of these other things we're talking about. This is what feeds ChatGPT, which feeds DALL-E and all these other things. I get asked a lot, what's actually doing the work that's doing these things I'm talking about? These are massive intelligence servers that are doing this. Huge data centers that have some of the most intelligent servers on the planet that are able to process massive computations to learn all this stuff. Basically what we've done is just built computers fast enough that can do all of this. Here are the biggest uses we see right now of ChatGPT. Language generation, and I'll get into that a little more, question answering, right? I don't Google hardly anything anymore. Everybody used to be like, go Google it. Well, now Google feels very unintelligent all of a sudden. When I can go into ChatGPT or I can go into Copilot and ask any question in the world and get very intelligent answers because it's already done all the research. Text completion, I'm bad about just typing a stream of conscious. I have high functioning autism. I have Asperger's syndrome. That's why I'm good at numbers and patterns. I'm bad with language, right? I can talk it, but I type it out. It just looks like the stream of conscious. I take that text, I drop it into the ChatGPT. That fast it creates a beautiful email or proposal or whatever based off of my knowledge that I put in there, but it cleans up all the junk that I don't know how to do because I'm not an English major, I'm an engineer. And so it helps tremendously in text completion. Again, I talked about language translation. It helps in situations where you need to communicate. Sometimes I have to communicate with people in other countries because of the nature of our work that might not speak our language. That can be difficult. Not anymore. They can send me an email in any language they want and it'll translate it for me. So this is where we get into some of these advancements. We're gonna make sure I'm not going over time. This is where we get into some of these advancements that people are really interested in. Summarization is a big one too. If I need to learn about a new company, what I used to do is go search their websites, go search Google, go find out everything I could. Now, I point ChatGPT to it. I say, go research this website, give me a bulleted overview of everything I need to know. It happens in about 10 seconds. This is where, these are the uses that will help you in business, right? There's all these crazy off-the-wall ideas about what we can do with it, but in your day-to-day work, these are where it'll really help you. It generates very high-quality text. It's cost-effective, it's got a huge vocabulary, and it's fast. So, this is the question I get a lot. How do we use it? Anybody has access to ChatGPT and OpenAI. This is why it's the one I key on for these introductory presentations. You can go out, research, find OpenAI's website. It will, this is if you want to use it to plug into your business. So you don't have to worry about these APIs right now. But at the top, this is how easy it is. Go to OpenAI's website and create an account. If you create a free account, it's on ChatGPT 3.5 version. It's very good, it works very well. Sometimes it might slow down if there's a lot of traffic on the free version. You can pay $20 a month to them. It's not something we sell. They don't allow anybody else to sell it. You can pay $20 a month to OpenAI and you can get ChatGPT 4. It's always guaranteed to run fast and it's their most up-to-date AI model. I probably know 50 people that have that $20 subscription right now and use it every day. Again, for things like this, text completion, image generation, embeddings, code completion. Now, I've given you a lot of information, so would you like to see how it actually works? I think we have a background now. So let's look at what this is. So this is ChatGPT. Oh, why didn't I bring it up? Oh, sure. Sorry, hold on. I wish I knew an IT guy. So the screen's a little off because of the projector, but this is what ChatGPT's screen looks like. If you see me go up here in the corner, oh no, it kicked me off their Wi-Fi. I'll talk for a second while I get this back up. Hotel Wi-Fi's can be a little interesting sometimes. So basically, let's do this. What question would somebody have that you want to ask AI? Something you really want an answer to, but you don't know the answer right now. Something complicated even. Nobody? All right, somebody give me your website. FirstEnergyCorp.com. Everybody's scared now, but I don't want you doing anything. So let's do this. We're gonna say, it'll take just a second to come up. Just something simple. Tell me about, what was it? FirstEnergy. And even if I spell wrong, it'll figure it out.